Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name's Matthew Boyle from Legendary Language Learner, and in today's video I want to talk with you about the disadvantages of language learning apps. I want to talk about this topic not because I think the language learning apps are so bad and we should totally give them up. Obviously, so many people are using language learning apps and they are enjoying it and they are using them effectively. I use them sometimes too. Today is really more about an intellectual exploration into the disadvantages so that hopefully we can try to mitigate them and get more of the good out, less of the bad. Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to warmly welcome you to like and subscribe so you can support what I do, and also so you can be aware of when new videos are coming out. I tend to post a new video every Saturday these days. Alright, now let's jump into the topic. The first point I want to make is that being on the language learning apps can tend to feed our sense of isolation, which is already probably in a bad place for a lot of people. So when we are in the language learning apps, the longer we remain in them, the further we get away from the shore, and we lose sight of the shore, which is we need to come back to real, authentic human connection and human conversation. You might not be able to do that in person, but think about if you can do it in person or online. Don't forget to come back and have a check-in with what kind of options are out there for you to have real conversation with people. The second point kind of ties into the first one, and that is that the language learning apps are really too passive, or they encourage passivity. If you think about it, the language learning apps typically present you with information that you need to respond or react to, and you need to do that in the correct way or the expected way. And if not that, then it could be something like you need to input something that is going to meet a requirement or match the correct answer. Real life is not like this. Real conversation is not like this. Your language learning practice would be much better off if it included opportunities to create what you want to say with whatever words you know, however few. To do that will make the language learning experience much more creative and much more fun. So don't get too bamboozled or drawn into the slickness and all the bells and whistles of these apps. Keep in mind what they are trying to do and what they are doing, which is they're forcing you to work within a pattern along with hundreds of thousands of other users. You have to work within the confines or the limitations of the pre-programmed questions and answers and phrases. Why not get more proactive and creative with it instead and initiate a conversation with a living, breathing human being? That's part of what my mission with this company is all about. I want to encourage you to get into conversation with people, get around the table, play games, exchange stories, jokes, questions, trendy vocabulary, stuff like that. Point number 3 is that just like our sense of isolation is exacerbated, same thing with our health. Our health continues to suffer. You know, we spend a long time in front of screens. It's bad for the eyes. It's bad for our posture. We don't get outdoors as much. And again, to be on the language learning apps is only going to make that worse. Personally, I prefer to regularly use my language learning study time as a time when I unplug. So the screens are all turned off. My machine overlords are powered down. I like to digital detox when I engage with my languages. And the ideal scenario for me is that I'm having tea with people that I can speak deeply with, or maybe I'm playing some of the language learning card games that I've made with people, such as Language Guardians. So if you stop for a moment and chew over how much time you already spend on screens, you may well decide against continuing to be on screens when you study your languages. So I recommend setting aside a period of time every day or each week when you do not use technology for your language learning and you go old school. All right, and this is the last point I want to share with you today, and it is that apps quietly diminish our intellectual rigor. So I think one of the disadvantages of language learning apps, together with many other aspects of modern life, is that they promise fast results for little effort. Or not promise, but rather they make us feel as if we are getting results from what we're doing. It's very Pavlovian. They've sort of tapped into our neural circuitry to give us a dopamine hit. And all of these little dopamine hits, which are attached to the points, the streaks, the animations, the badges, they distract us from realizing that after 30 minutes or an hour has passed, we really haven't done much of anything at all. We really haven't done deep work that is truly challenging our minds, pushing our limits. Quite to the contrary, we've basically been poking at a screen. We've not been practicing out of quality textbooks. We've not been reading beautiful stories. We've not been attending classes, going to language exchanges. So I would argue that in a certain sense, language learning apps encourage a lack of seriousness around language learning and studying languages. They may mislead you into believing that if you can get a high score in this game and beat the others on the leaderboard like you would in maybe a game of Candy Crush or Angry Birds or something, I don't know, I don't play those games, but it may encourage you to think that you are getting significantly smarter. And I would encourage you to reflect on whether that's really true. Alright, that's it for today's video. Let me know down below what you think of the disadvantages I named, or maybe you can add some of your own. And I'll see you back here next time at Legendary Language Learner. Now let's go out and make language learning magical. Bye for now.